Hello, everybody. It is me, Spade, Spade LOK, Spade Lock, whatever you want to call me. But you guys could just call me the Koby Messiah. So, for those who don't know me, I am a Koby player. I've been playing Koby since before OP11 when I would test him all the time. And then I played him through OP11 and OP12, only putting him down for OP13 and 14 for the time being. Koby is one of my absolute favorite One Piece characters, period. And when I found out he was getting a red leader, it made me all the happier because I am a red player. This deck is easily my favorite deck. It's the one I've put the most time into. And although my results do not show it, it is a deck that I think I am quite qualified to talk about as well as play. I have an X3 at Peoria, gain a top 128 there, barely bubbling out of top 64. I also have countless X1 at stacked locals. So overall, while my results aren't the greatest, I do think there is some merit to my opinions on this deck. So we're going to do a quick deck breakdown, explaining the card choices, as well as ratios, and then I will go into optional card choices, like things that we can test out. As this is a beta list, this is my first couple games, or after my first couple games of testing. So while I feel the list is super solid, there are always places to improve, for sure. And then after that, I'll go over a quick sample curve. Koby, since OP11, had been a pretty linear deck. It had a really strong game plan. It just got outpowered by other things such as UP, Luffy, and Zoro being super good and super common. So let's get straight into it. We have Koby. He's a 4/5 black, red, navy, and sword type leader. Your sword type characters all have character rush on them. And then once per turn, when one of your navy type characters with an original power of 7k or less is removed, whether that's bouncing, bottom decking, KOing, or trashing, any of those effects, not in battle, but effects, you can bottom deck 3 cards from your trash instead. So it's really good against anti-removal. And even though removal, it's really good against removal. It's anti-removal. It's like the anti-removal leader, excuse me. But outside of that, it's really clutch because there are still cards like Jozu, Atmos, and Mars that are still bouncing around, as well as Red Rock, Gravity Blade, all those classic cards. So even though removal isn't as big with Lucci out of the way and just like Marco not being a thing, there is still time for this ability to shine. So I'm going to go out of order, just a heads up. So if you guys get a little confused, I apologize. I will maybe remove the cards. Yeah, I'll remove the cards as we go, just so it's a little bit simpler to look at. So starting off with our searchers, we run 3 different searchers. The first one is Kujaku, or Peacock, depending on your translation. It's a 1/0/1k counter searcher. It's a top 5 searcher for Navy, where you can search for everything besides another Kujaku. And then activate main, you can trash the character to give plus 1,000 to any of your characters. Does not have to be Navy type. That's very important. Now we are primarily running, before we didn't run full Navy build, now we are. So it doesn't really matter, but just in the future, if you're ever curious, it does buff everything. Or anything, excuse me. So this searcher we primarily use to dig for pieces if our hand is not great. If we're missing a Helmeppo or a Koby or a Kujaku or something like that, like one of our on-curve plays, we always want to drop Kujaku. But unfortunately, she does not fill trash outside of her activate main. There are times where you will need to pop her before you can actually use the plus 1k because you're not seeing what you need to and you need to get cards in trash for leader ability. Additionally, the trash in her for the plus 1k is just obviously super broken because on the turn that she's played, it's basically a free search. It's like you're just attaching a Don and got a search out of it. But it's also good if you just like let it sit on the board for a couple of turns. Our second searcher, and this is like the most important one in my opinion, probably the most important card of the deck. That's a little bit of a stretch, but it's a very important card in the deck. Is I am the man who will become a Navy officer. It's just a 1-cost searcher. It looks at the top 3 of the deck, and it grabs any Navy card besides itself. Also has the trigger of activate main, so if you hit this in life, you're golden. The reason I say this is one of the most important cards in the deck is because unlike our other two searchers, this puts leader ability online immediately. So ideally, you want to see 2 of these in your opening hand because now you have 60 cards in trash. Your leader ability is set up for 2 types of removal. You're set. Because it trashes obviously the 2 cards plus itself. And then if you don't even want to grab a card, you can just trash 4 cards, which is pretty solid. Finally, we have Brand New. He's our last searcher. He's a 2 for 3/1. On play, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, reveal a Navy card besides Brand New, and then trash the other one. So he's our other trash filler. So these 2 we want to play early on when we need to fill up our trash. We're facing removal, maybe we're facing Ace, and we know he's running Atmos and Jozu. We don't want those to be super effective. And then Peacock if you're missing pieces. Okay. Next, let's go over our 2Ks. We are running 11 2Ks. I've always run 11 2Ks. I think at one point I ran 10 and it felt fine because we were running some other cards that buffed leader. But our first 2K is going to be a Sabo Luffy. This is our only unsearchable card in the deck, or only non-Navy type character. It's a 1/1 for 2. It's basically Gordon on a stick. Not a stick, it's just Gordon, but if he was a 2K counter. Activate main, trash the character, and then give an active Don to your leader or characters, and then give something minus 3,000. So you can plant this on early turns, or you can just basically pay 2 Don to play it, and then minus 3,000 to like a blocker or a character that you want to trade into. Our next 2K is going to be Cruz. So this actually pairs really well with the Ace Sabo Luffy. It's a 1/2/2. All your opponent's characters with a power of 2,000 or less cannot activate blocker for the rest of the turn. So by activating this, now Gruz shuts down 5k blockers and less, which is really good when going for a game or clearing like a kid, an 8-cost kid, or anything like that. I'm only running this as a 1-of because chumps aren't like super common right now, and we're not running any like round tables or anything in this build. So I think like 1 safe, it's really good into the mirror. It could be good against like Green Bonnie. I'm trying to think of like some other chump blockers right now, but I'm blanking. But any any deck that runs a bunch of chumps, this is really solid. Ace Sabo Luffy I didn't mention, but we run 4 of this because it's our only unsearchable cards we want to, hopefully see it. And then going back, because I've kind of recorded this video like 3 times now, Peacock, Brand New, and Event are all at 4 because we need to open searchers on our turn 1. We need to start filling our trash. We need to start finding our pieces ASAP. 12 searchers is the minimum in my opinion. I think you're crazy if you don't run 12, but I'm also psychotic about this deck. Our next 2K is going to be Aramaki, a 1/2/2. Activate main, trash this character and 2 cards from your deck. One of your Navy type characters can now attack active. So once again, if you don't know anything about Koby, our entire game plan strategy is early game. We want to starve our opponents by clearing their board. And then by that point, we have a bunch of mid-range characters that can ping leader or start swinging like 7s and 9s pretty easily. This lets us do that in case we don't have certain other cards like I Will Whip You Into Shape or the Habari. So very important to keep that in mind. This is a very versatile 2K. I think it's the best 2K in the deck. I'm probably going to cut 1 Helmeppo to make this a 4-of, but we'll see. We'll discuss that a little bit later. Speaking of which, 3/3 2K Helmeppo from EB04. You may trash this character, play 1 sword type character with a cost of 3 or less other than Helmeppo from your hand or trash. The reason we play this is because in case we mill a Habari and late game we really need some way to KO like a blocker or an immediate threat, we can play this, revive our Habari. Awesome, now you can put pressure back on the board. I just remembered this because we're talking about Aramaki, but one thing I adore about this deck is that the way that it introduces the black identity of removal is that instead of just being straight up like KO this cost, KO this power, it's all about KOing through battle, active battle, which is super unique. We haven't really seen that outside of a few cards before this, like the 7-cost Dressrosa Luffy. So I think that's a really interesting way and why I like the deck so much. So now let's move on to like the core. Actually, no, chump blockers first, then we'll talk about the core of the deck. We run 5 chump blockers. I would like to up this number. Maybe I do have to cut some of the events. but we'll see as I test more and more. We're running 3 of Ripper. I want this to be a 4 of this. If you know me, this is like my favorite card in the deck. It's just a 1/1 blocker, but it has 1k counter, and because of our leader ability, it can't be removed unless it's like double removed. Its only cost is that you need to have another black character on the black Navy type character on the board, which as you can see, we run, so that's 12, 16, 19, 21, we run 24 characters. And when you drop this, you will almost always have a black character on the board, so you'll be fine. Doll, I'm running as a 2-up to test out. This used to be the 2-cost Rosinante blocker, but I like the idea of this giving plus cost to avoid Atmos and Jozu in the ace matchup. The only issue with this is that it does conflict with this Kujaku, because this gives everything that's 6 cost or less 2,000 power, and that puts our two 6-cost characters above that threshold. So just something to keep in mind, and I'll explain that a little bit more as we go on. So those are our chump blockers. Our other event is going to be this I'll whip you into shape. As I said, the first effect is just Aramaki effect, but this does include leader, which is actually really important because Aramaki is only characters. This is also just a 1 for 3 K counter. So just a solid card. Yeah, it's a brick, but we can easily get it out of hand with a few cards that we're going to look at. So that's like the build around Koby, right? That's building around our core. So our core consists of a bunch of mid-range characters. This deck used to play the 8-cost Secret Koby, which I will talk about when we get to the card choices, but now it is like a pure mid-range deck, and I think it is way more interesting than it was before. It's not nearly as linear in its curve, and you can have way more interesting plays. So starting off, we have this 3/5 Habari from EB03. This card alone saved my faith in Koby. It completely revived the deck, in my opinion, as it covered multiple issues, which was that we could not fight for board early without investing like an Aramaki, which obviously investing in 2K is never fun. It also gave us an odd curve, and it gave us consistent power down. Obviously, now we're running the Asabo and Luffy, which is nice, but once again, that is a 2K you have to get rid of. This just has a permanent minus 1K on it, which is really awesome. So on play when attacking, one of your sword type characters or leaders can also attack active this turn, and then activate main, like I said, give one of your opponent's characters minus 1,000. What makes this card so broken is that it has the on play. So on play, she can give it to herself, which is huge. Because what that means is that if you draw this on 4, so your opponent just played their 3-down play. Their 3-down play was most likely a 3 for 5 or something around that stat line. So now, that's like the highest stat line they can drop. You play this, give herself the attack active, minus 1K to whatever they played. So now it's a 3 for 4. So now your opponent's character is 4,000 power. You swing with this 5 into 4. And then if they let it go, cool. If they don't, now your leader can attack active. You have 1 extra Don. Put that on leader, 6 into 4. So now you either cleared a body or you got 2 cards out of hand. Or 3 cards out of hand, excuse me. So it's a lot of early pressure, which is really, really nice. And then late game, it can be clutch as well. We run 2 of this Koby. This used to be the MVP when Rayleigh was a thing in the PRB meta. But right now, there's not as many chumps, and I don't think the card draw is as good as a card we're going to talk about in a second. It's a 4/5, 1K counter. On opponent's turn, it becomes a 6K. And then when attacking, you KO a character with 3,000 base power or less. And then if you have 6 cards in hand, you can draw a card. Like I said, this would be really good in against Rayleigh because it let us counter out aggressively while refilling our hand, and it KO'd literally everything that they played. Unfortunately, we're not in that meta anymore, and the decks are starting to get taller. But I do think this is still relevant because the Mirror, as well as Chumps and Mihawk. This is really good against Mihawk because they like to tap their searchers a lot. This lets you just get rid of them. But we're only running it as a 2 of because I think Habari and Kujaku are the better mid-range bodies, as well as, like I said, the card draw is not great, and it's a little understated. We're running 2 of Smoker and Tashigi. This is an 8/8 rusher, and then on opponent's turn, it gives our Navy type leader, so Koby is Navy type obviously, plus 2,000. makes it a base 7, excuse me, not plus 2000. There's a difference there. This is really good, and I'll get into why it's so good with our curve. But Koby, we take the first 2 life pretty aggressively. This lets us stabilize a little bit more. Kujaku, I think, might be the best card in the deck. It's one of them, at least. Opponents turn all of your characters with a sword type and it costs a 6 or less gain plus 2000. It also is a 4 for 6. And if you read that opponent's turn part correctly, it buffs herself. So on 4, you get a 4 for 8 on defense, which means outside of like bouncing and you don't have trash or something, this is going to stick. Even like Zoro, which is one of our worst matchups, or at least was, is not going to be able to remove this, which is awesome. It lets us stabilize and actually develop a board against that deck. The other broken part about this, on play, you can trash any Navy type character from your hand, draw 2 cards. Our entire deck is Navy. Yes, we run a lot of bricks. This lets us filter through them. So we're filling trash, we're filling our hand back up. So we go even back in hand, which is awesome. This buffs, obviously, the 2 cards we already talked about, Koby and Habari. Habari becoming a 7K on defense is amazing because it just basically guarantees she's always going to live. Same thing with Koby, but Koby becomes actually an 8K on defense, which is super hard to swing into. So overall, one of the best cards in the deck. Next, we have this new Koby from EB04. Once per turn, it's 6/7, 1K counter. Once per turn, if your leader has a Navy type and this character would be removed from the field, you can trash 1 card from your hand instead. I know initially people said this card was going to be bad because they didn't read the once per turn right. They thought it was basically just leader ability, but you get it twice. You get your leader ability and you get this ability. But what this actually means is if it's summoned off of Helmeppo, you can trash a card to keep it, which I'll explain in a second. And then once per turn, when one of your opponent's characters is KO'd, you can draw a card. So this is our go-to Helmeppo play now because it establishes 2 6/7s. It gives us card draw because you're almost always going to be swinging into something or have an ability to KO something. Whereas this is more conditional, like you have to have 6 cards in hand. There's no hand size limit on this. You just need to KO something, which for us, that's kind of our whole game plan. And then I probably should talk about Helmeppo first, but this is like this is like one of the remnants of the old Koby deck. 6/7 on play, you may trash 1 card from your hand, draw 1 card, and then play a sword type character with a cost of 8 or less from your trash other than Helmeppo. Then at the end of turn, place the character that you summoned at the bottom of your deck. So before this used to just be kind of like a tempo play. You were getting an understated body, but you get to swing at rested stuff and you get to summon something. You used to summon either this Habari, this Koby, the promo Koby, or the 8-cost secret Koby. But now you can summon this Koby, Habari, Kujaku, or ideally it's always going to be this Koby. Because what this is going to let you do is get 2 6/7s, end a turn. If this would be bottom deck, you just trash a card. So yeah, you are going down in hand size, but you just established 2 6/7s. And you likely killed something that was rested, so you do draw the card back, which is huge. Finally, oh no, that's the whole deck list. Sorry, I confused myself going out of order. So some cards to consider. Number 1 is going to be this Garp Searcher. At first I thought this would be really good just for trash fill, but because removal is not as common, I think going -1 in hand is just not worth it. It's kind of bad. The more I sleep on it, I just really wish we could play it. In a perfect world, this says grab 1 card, trash 1 card from the same search, but unfortunately not how it reads. This Borsa used to be played. I don't think it has a spot in the deck anymore, but you can still mess around with it. It's just Aramaki effect, but on a blocker that you can rest. So it isn't activate main. If they ignore it, cool, you can keep activating it, but they're never going to ignore it. It's going to die. Doll is a card I see a lot of people really like. I like it in OP13. I don't know how I feel about it now. I just think the -2 in hand never feels good. Even in OP13, it just doesn't, like, it just feels like a heavy cost, even with both these Kobys drawing for us and Kujaku filtering and drawing. Same thing with Helmeppo. It's just too much. And all you're developing is a chump blocker. Another card to consider is 5-cost Habari. I did test this at one point for OP13. Thought it would be really good because we can go Searcher, Habari, and then just be swinging at the active board the whole time. but it's another brick, and it's just not as good as I thought because we want to go second almost always, which I'll explain in our sample curve. Promo Koby, I think, has no spot in the deck anymore. It used to. Once again, in Rayleigh meta, it was just really good because now they have to invest down to swing at us. This is probably really good if Jinbei becomes relevant, but I'm not sure how relevant he's going to be. Odyssey Impact is a card I can always see myself playing as a 1 or 2 of. Typically a 1 of. Especially with this new Koby, if you have this established, this basically just says KO a 10 cost and draw a card, which, yeah, that's pretty good. Sengoku is always in contention for being the third search instead of brand new. I like brand new right now because we're running full navy, so it's like we're not going to whiff on our pieces, which is really nice. And there's no like requirement. Sengoku, you do have to trash black navy type characters. As you can see, we do have quite a bit of red in here. Obviously, we're way more playing way more black cards, but it's just one of those things where I think if we swap out Aesop Luffy, for example, or up Aramaki or something, I could see Sengoku being the third searcher. Especially because it's a 1 cost, so you can do like Sengoku, Ripper to turn Ripper on. I talked about this Rosinante already. If I don't like this doll, I think you just throw this back in. I think chump blockers in this deck are just like obnoxious because they can't be removed. They can only be rested. So really solid. There's a few more cards I want to go over real quick. There's an argument for Kuzan. I think this card is bad now. I think Habari just does the job significantly better. But this does trash 3 cards immediately, so leader abilities online in case you whiff a search. But 4 for 5, once again, understated. It's just like, it's never fun having our cards be understated and the only effect being that you can attack active. Habari gets it on play. It's just better. Some people like very good as a 2K. I don't think it really matters. This 4 cost Hina used to be really good because it was a free Don to leader basically every turn because your trash was so full. Now we just can't really afford another brick. But I could see this coming back because of Ace's relevance. Some people play T-Bone. I think that's fine. I don't have really any comments on that. I used to play this 5 cost Hina. I think it's really good. Just stopping a 6K from attacking on block is insane. If we had a card like Spiderweb, I think this card would be the funniest card in the world. Virgo, this is the 2K I used to run. It was really good to Zoro. I think because we have Kujaku now, we don't need a card that says it can't be KO'd in battle because it's going to be hard to swing into like 4-8, 6-9, 6-9, 4-8, 3-7. Like it's going to be hard to swing into our board regardless. The last couple cards, I think the Sakazuki, when stuff like Emu is less relevant, this could find a spot back into the deck. It does get rotated, though, very soon, so probably not. And then finally, this 8-cost Koby. This was the old secret. It was the one that used to combo off of Helmeppo. It was, like I said, a really good tempo play, or if you got this to stick, being a 6K leader every turn was disgusting. I think there is a world where we play this over Smoker and Tashigi, but I think Smoker and Tashigi allow us to put on way more pressure, which is at this point more important for Koby to close out games. Some other cards to consider is 4-cost Rebecca. You could play this over Doll because it will let you grab this Helmeppo and then play, excuse me, you can play this Helmeppo to summon Habari. So now you got a chump blocker, excuse me, and then you get Habari, and Habari gets both of her effects. So she gets the on play, excuse me, not both effects, but the on play, and then especially if you have a Kujaku established, bam, I got that. I'm not crazy about this idea, but somebody did suggest it on my Twitter, and I really liked it at first. Just the more I think about it, I don't like having not searchable cards. I've played with so many unsearchable cards, and it's just not fun. Additionally, I think Sabo, where's he at? Secret Sabo could have a spot in this deck because you just get free Dawn attached, which is really, really nice. And you can give your characters +2. But once again, another brick. I don't know if we can afford that right now. Another classic card from the old build is 8-cost Dragon. Really good finisher. The classic red, you're going to have Roger. Uh, I don't think we need this, but I could see this finding its way as like a one of. Off the top of my head, no, there's one more. Sorry, round table, really good. Minus 10,000. We're attacking active, so this lets us like minus 10,000 of blocker beard and then start swinging into it. Ground death is also really good. That's currently what this is taking the spot of. Ground death is a 4K counter if we have 10 more cards in trash, and then you can rest. So you can tap 3 Don to negate one character's abilities that has 5,000 or less. This is probably better than I'll whip you into shape, but I'm really liking I'll whip you into shape, so I will update you guys on Twitter when that happens. The last card I want to consider is Beckman. This is really good into Boa, so she's still relevant. I think we do play this. This basically hits her entire deck, and then with Habari, you're now hitting 7Ks for free. So that is all the cards I would say to consider. There's probably more I forgot about. Let's go over the sample curve really quick because I do think this is still a relatively straightforward deck. There's just some more brain power when it comes to sequencing and then like some of our later Don plays. So opening turn, let's go over optimal curve. You want to see 2 of Event Searcher. This fills your trash up to 6 and it helps you find your pieces. That's huge. It sets up Palmetto. It's just really important because you're also getting rid of bricks out of your hand, obviously. Against matchups where you know they play chumps that are going to swing, or you want to put on more aggression, or you need trash, Brand New is the second best option because it fills the trash by 2, and then it is a body that can easily attack with 2 Don attached. Or once you have Habari on the field, this can now swing into what were 4K. Other than that, Peacock is what you're going to go with because it is a 5 deep searcher. If you are missing a Kujaku or a Helmeppo from hand, this is how you're going to find it. Whereas these are kind of more risky. So that's your 2 Don play. Like I mentioned it a couple times in the video so far, you want to go second. You need to go second. Second is optimal. Second is oppressive. Second is where we see all of our BS. On 4, this is going to be my hot take. This used to be the like always drop it on 4. I know for a while people were saying this. I think Habari is really good against aggressive decks where it's like they're setting up a bunch of like little weenies. So once again, like Jinbei or Betty or Rayleigh, I think Habari is the 4 Don play. I think against everything else, it's always Kujaku. Lets you filter so you can start setting up Helmeppo or you can dig for cards that you don't have still. And as I mentioned when I talked about her, on defense, she's now an 8K. So there's basically no way to remove her without some sort of BS or you have no trash and you can't like you can't save her. So this on 4, super oppressive, just does too much. Then on 6, you have 2 choices in my opinion. Double Habari, which lets you swing 4 times at active characters because you drop the first Habari, you give her the on play, swing, give the Kujaku or whatever you put on 4 attack active. Then you drop another Habari, give her the on play, she swings, give your leader attack active. So now you got 4 swings, plus you got a -2 on the board. So you're clearing the board, you're just in a really good position, and then because you set the Kujaku up, these are now 7K defense. So once again, you're probably not going to get touched. Other than that, though, if your opponent only has like 1 character on board or is like not really pressuring you, Helmeppo Koby. Getting 2 6/7s on the board, one of which is going to start drawing you cards basically every turn, is insane. It is worth going down in the hand size because once again, I'm going to keep repeating myself. I'm a broken record right now. This buffs both of these. So now you have a 4/8, a 6/9, a 6/9. Your opponent's not touching you. Unless they freeze you or stun you, they're not going to be able to do anything, which is insane. It lets us take life very greedily to rebuild our hand. And then on 8, we either drop Helmeppo Koby again, and then have Don up for I'll whip you into shape, develop a Ripper or a Doll, or it lets us play Smoker and Tashiki. So assuming that you are in a healthy enough position, you're at 2 life, like 6 cards in hand, and then you have the board of Kujaku, Koby, Helmeppo, Dropping this lets you go 6, 7, 7, 8, and then on defense, being a 7K leader yourself, and then once again, an 8K, an 8K, a 9K, a 9K. They cannot do anything about it. It's insane. I Other than that, I don't know if I already mentioned it. You can do another Helmepo Koby. So now your board is Kujaku, Helmepo Koby, Helmepo Koby. Oh, I did say that already. Then with the Ripper. Or, once again, you can start establishing like Hamaris. You can search, get more counter. Like 8 Don is where we really start to open up. But I do think right now Smoker Tashiki is just really, really good on paper and on the few games that I've played. So that's kind of it. You want to drain their resources by swinging at board, and then eventually your board's just big enough that you're just pinging them 7, 7, 8, 9, whatever. But if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments or shout me out on Twitter, Spade LOK. I'm pretty good about responding to basically everything. I'm not really, uh, doing much on there besides shit talking or talking about Koby. So I hope to be making more videos of this soon. I will update my list. I'll update my Twitter, and I'll probably make another video once I like settle on a list. But this deck really does mean a lot to me. I really hope you guys enjoyed hearing me yap for however long it's been. But with that said, the Koby Messiah is out. Have a great night, everybody.